Here we go.
Hey, John, if you're on social media apps like TikTok or Instagram, and you watch these carefully crafted viral videos of students reacting to their college acceptance letters,
It's updated.
of course you'd think college is really hard to get into.
That's what people seem to think, yeah.
But the reality is that most colleges in the U.S. are desperate for students. They want you.
And your tuition dollars, Kirk. They want to be on your short list.
And the multi-billion-dollar industry has cropped up to help them perpetuate this myth that you're incredibly lucky just to be considered for admission. They dig deep into your personal data and sneak off with your contact information. They even buy the names and other details about students who take the SAT and ACT.
We're talking about your grades, your intended major, and other information that the colleges use to recruit you. Then they plug it all into sophisticated algorithms to see if you can actually afford to pay.
This is College Uncovered. I'm Kirk Carapezza with GBhnews.
And I'm John Marcus with the Hechinger Report. Colleges are buying, or as they prefer to spin it, licensing the names of students from the organizations that administer the SAT and ACT. It's only one of the many little-known ways that colleges try to sell themselves to you.
Let's talk about something important. Put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers only.
That's Alec Baldwin in the classic movie Glengarry Glen Ross. It's about a small, cutthroat sales agency.
A, B, C. A, always B, B, C, closing. Always be closing. Always be closing.
You might not think of college recruiters as salespeople, but these days they need to A, B, C. A, always B, B, C, closing. They need to sell you on picking them. And the first thing people need who sell for a living is a good lead.
One of the ways that colleges get strong leads is by buying the names of the nearly 3 million students a year who take the ACT and SAT. Then they recruit the ones they want the most. One consultant reports that public universities buy a median of 64,000 names apiece, which eats up 14% of their marketing and recruitment budget. I went over to Boston University to talk to some students about all of this. In the United States, there's a certain level of mystique about college admissions. Just ask students on campus. Do you think it's hard to get into college?
I do, actually, and I think it's getting harder, in fact, especially when it comes to like the top-ranked colleges. There's just so much that goes into the process.
If you know the right people, then you have the ways to get in.
It's honestly one of the most stressful experiences of high school. I remember that senior year was extremely stressful for me because of applications and admissions, and I can't imagine how much worse it's gotten now, especially because acceptance rates are decreasing, the college is getting more expensive. It's a lot.
Did you both take the SAT?
I did the ACT.
You did the ACT?
Yes.
Okay, did you take the SAT or
Yes,
ACT?
I did SAT.
So did anyone tell you when you were applying to college that your name and information was on a list of potential applicants that universities buy from the companies that offer the SAT and ACT?
No.
No. I mean, I don't even remember ever being asked if my information could be given at the SATs, and kind of strange to think that like a test taking service that's required to get into college is selling names to market. Yeah, it's kind of annoying because, I mean, especially given the fact that, like, when it comes to college rankings, a large portion of the factors that's taken into account is the acceptance rates. And so everyone wants a low acceptance rates to seem very prestigious. But at the end of the day, you're just disadvantaging many students who really need the opportunity to get into college. So that's really irritating that, like, these students are also being profited off of and then also barely being given the chance to get into these colleges.
John, give that student an A for knowing what's up. I reached out to the College Board, and a spokesperson told me students can opt in or out at any time. The problem is that most students don't seem to know they can opt out. Colleges can spend anywhere from $10,000 to $500,000 a year for these lists, depending on the level of access they want.
We spoke to John Bockenstead about why colleges do this. Bockenstead is vice provost for enrollment management at Oregon State University, which for decades has bought these lists from the College Board to recruit students.
The last time I looked, it's about 50 cents a name.
Now, Bockenstead says, the College Board, which administers the SAT, is further expanding the information that it sells to colleges.
Where you get the unlimited buffet of names for a certain price.
Ah, yes, the all-you-can-eat menu, John. So for some colleges, like Oregon State, buying the list helps them fill seats. It's all about survival, paying the bills, and keeping the lights on. Of course, like everything in higher education, it also has a wonky name, enrollment management. But what it really means is selling, getting students on the hook, and then managing that delicate balance of having enough people in all the various majors and who can afford to pay. Here's how Bockenstead explains it.
From a recruitment, from a marketing, from an engagement standpoint, enrollment management is certainly front and center there, to making the best admissions decisions, to allocating limited institutional aid, to trying to make sure the residence halls are full, to make sure programs are balanced, to make sure we have enough students in foreign language as opposed to biology, for instance.
This has evolved into a largely invisible but incredibly sophisticated process that goes way beyond just buying names. It's really a science because colleges use data analytics to get students to apply and to attract the right mix of them. This backroom process is critical to know about if you want to understand how colleges really work, which of course is the goal of this podcast.
First and foremost, college admissions is a business.
That's Jim Jump, former president of the National Association of College Admissions Counselors. Enrollment management has become a multi-billion-dollar business of outside consultants that help run student recruitment, marketing, enrollment, retention, financial aid, and other services.
A lot of these companies got into the business when enrollment flattened out in the 1990s. Some of them previously ran direct mail marketing or were political fundraisers, or they jumped ship from the testing companies. Over the last decade, they got so big, they started to get bought up by private equity and venture capital companies, and they have come to largely dominate the ways that colleges recruit students. Jump remembers one enrollment management agency that came up with the idea of using the same approach as credit card companies that provide applications with all the information already filled out.
They had what they called the SNAP app, which some of us tongue-in-cheek called the crap app, where it was pre-filled out. They gave it to students. You didn't have to do anything to apply, so it increased application numbers.
The crap app, John, it's an interesting approach, but it worked. It built up the number of applicants. And the more applicants a university gets, the more selective it can say it is. The app was developed by the enrollment management consultant Royal & Company, which was sold for $850 million to another company called EAB. Here's EAB on YouTube.
EAB stands for Education Advisory Board, and it is a think tank out of Washington, D.C. So you have a research team, you have data scientists, you have those engineers that put all the software together to make tools and to gather information that's pertinent to colleges and universities across the country.
How lucrative is this work? 3 years later, EAB was bought out by a hedge fund for more than $1.5 billion. By some industry estimates, this whole enrollment management industry serves a market valued at $15 billion a year. That's how much colleges are paying to these companies to help them boost student recruitment and to market themselves. And some of the ways they're doing this might embarrass the boys in Glengarry Glen Ross.
Here's a TV ad from one of these companies called Education Dynamics. The website they offer, it's basically a lead generator for colleges.
Education is what I'm looking at. When I get a degree, I will make a bigger sound.
Go to that website and others like it, and you'll be asked to provide your contact information, which is also sold to colleges to recruit you.
Let's take another step back here and think about what the rise of this industry tells us about the business of college. It's the open secret that you and I talk about all the time, Kirk. College enrollment is generally in steady decline, but colleges still need students who can afford what they're charging. And buying and selling lists seems quaint compared to the most important impact enrollment management consultants have on the college admissions process. They've pushed the strategy of advertising high tuition and then offering big discounts and financial aid, even to families that don't need it. That's a way to attract higher income students by flattering them with scholarships. But in addition to straining colleges' bottom lines, this high discount strategy is also shifting financial aid away from students who need it the most.
The idea behind this country's enrollment management industry had a much more benign start. It all began here in GBH's backyard, in the Boston suburb of Chestnut Hill, back in the 1970s. With its enrollment flagging, Boston College tapped a physics professor named Jack McGuire to be the new dean of admissions. After he helped rebuild applications to BC, McGuire started his own consulting company.
He's the godfather of this industry.
That's Richard Freeland, the former president of Northeastern University. After serving as the Massachusetts Commissioner of Higher Education, Freeland joined McGuire Associates.
Jack was not fundamentally a businessman. He was an idea guy, and so McGuire struggled to stay abreast of the industry, and others ultimately became more successful from a business point of view. But Jack was absolutely, from an intellectual point of view, the guy who figured it out.
What the former physics professor figured out is that colleges could apply data analytics to college admissions.
If you go back to the pre-enrollment management era, how did admissions work? And students applied, they wrote essays, they were interviewed, their local minister wrote a letter about them, and the admissions office deliberated on them and said, this person looks good, this person doesn't look good, based on all the evidence available. And they were all kind of subjective judgment calls.
Subjective judgment calls. That all sounds on the level. Well, Freeland says enrollment management changed all that by introducing an element of science into the decision-making process.
And the science was essentially based, I say this not as a mathematician, but based on the use of probability theory, which is, can you use data analytics to predict, number one, the probability that a student, if accepted, will come, number two, if accepted, will graduate, and number three, will come for a certain price.
Boston College started offering scholarships to students regardless of whether they had any financial need. At the time, this was all new, and it was a way for college to optimize its price for individual students, giving them quote-unquote merit scholarships to attract them. McGuire argued that BC should use its financial aid dollars strategically.
That was a time when BC was going through the transition from being all male to co-ed, trying to figure out how to attract women, try to figure out how to balance between men and women.
Before then, colleges had promised to review student applications without knowing an applicant's finances. Admissions were said to be need blind. And this new approach, it worked too, for the BC Eagles.
Three wide receivers out to the right.
With a little divine intervention from Doug Flutie's 1984 Hail Mary pass that cemented BC's national brand.
Caught by Boston College! I don't believe it! It's a touchdown! The Eagles win it!
In the years that followed, BC's enrollment boomed as the college gave out more and more merit aid to attract students, even if they didn't need it. Here's Jim Jump again.
These consultants have pretty sophisticated algorithms for telling the college how much money is a particular student willing to pay, or how much aid should you give in order to enroll the student. So for instance, if you and I both have similar credentials and both apply, they will use demographic information to determine that they need to invest more in you to enroll than they do in me. So it's a pretty sophisticated game on the financial aid side.
A pretty sophisticated game that worked wonders at Boston College and many, many other schools.
But even McGuire later said he worried about the direction that enrollment management had taken. After all, less financial aid is going to students who need it. And the competition to give deep discounts is starting to force small colleges to close.
Longtime financial aid administrators like Eileen O'Leary also criticized these tactics.
It's an arms race for prestige, but it's also an arms race for survival.
For years, O'Leary worked at a small private college she didn't want us to name. She's also the former president of the Massachusetts Association of Student Financial Aid Administrators. Now retired, she sat down with us in her living room.
The most important thing in admissions is to fill your seats within your budget. That's the most important thing.
Did you ever get discouraged?
I was ready to retire. For probably 5-10 years before I retired, I would say, this isn't the financial aid I signed up for.
Because you saw how it worked.
Because, I saw the way it changed. It didn't start out as, I would say, desperate. Because of the arms race, schools were competing with each other so strongly with money for the same students instead of with academic reputation necessarily, that financial aid, instead of providing access, which is my philosophy about financial aid, it was a tool, just another tool to make a class.
And to, in the end, perpetuate inequities.
That's what it does. Schools, they do have the goal of diversity, of equity, and they do work towards that. And they don't hire minority admissions counselors, etc., to be duplicitous. They really want those things. But the bottom line is you have to survive as an institution to do anything. And so they have chosen spending institutional dollars on merit scholarships for those who probably don't need it.
O'Leary says that at most schools, admissions and enrollment are no longer about providing access or building a class.
Schools like Harvard, the Ivy, Harvard, Yale, Princeton, they still work on that premise. You go down a tier or two on that, and they don't have tens of thousands of students that they can decline and still make their class.
According to the National Association of College and University Business Officers, the average four-year private college now gives back more than half of its revenue in the form of discounts and financial aid. We'll have much more on these destructive discount rates next season.
For now, O'Leary and many others say this level of discounting, it's not sustainable.
And so what do these schools depend on? Other schools dropping by closing, so more students are available for them. It's not a financial model that can continue into the future.
Oh, sure it is. Yeah, absolutely.
William Boffey is vice president of enrollment management at Assumption College in Worcester, Massachusetts. Boffey says Assumption's tuition discount rate is north of 60%, and the acceptance rate is more than 80%.
While our acceptance rate has gone up, our standards have not gone down. This past year we had a 3.58 average GPA, so we're talking about very highly qualified candidates. We're here to serve students. Schools that do that best will continue to thrive.
Assumption is among those colleges that buy lists of names and potential candidates from the College Board. Boffey defends the practice.
It's a tool that we have available to us to bring these names into our database and communicate with them in multiple ways. Email primarily, I would say at this point. It used to be the mix was much more direct mail. But we email these names directly, and some of them turn into applicants, and then we continue to communicate with them.
Now, Assumption is taking a new approach to enrollment management. If you apply early, it's awarding merit and need-based financial aid immediately upon acceptance, and it's estimating the average award will be about $35,000 at a school where annual tuition costs about $46,000. That's a steep discount.
And so we felt like getting students and families information sooner was critical. This is a big decision, lots of options for them, lots of factors to consider. Price is certainly one of those factors. And so we felt like we had to come up with a way to get them to understand that Assumption is going to have skin in the game, that our gift aid is going to be significant. And so what the price that they see published is not what they're going to pay.
Boffey admits this new, more transparent approach, it's also in Assumption's self-interest.
Because we need to make the shortlist for students and families. We want them to come and visit, and them having a commitment from us on what we're going to give them in merit and need-based aid, that we feel like that gives us a better chance to make it onto this shortlist.
Otherwise, the Assumption football team might need its own Hail Mary pass.
He threw it into the end zone. There was no time left on the clock.
Jim Jump, former president of the National Association of College Admission Counselors, says that if the public fully understood how enrollment management really worked, it would create intense cynicism about the whole college process.
I think enrollment management serves selective institutions. I don't think it serves students.
Looking forward, Jump says he'd love to see an admissions process that is more student-focused.
Not institution-centered. And right now we have an institution-centered admissions process.
This is College Uncovered from GBH and the Hechinger Report. I'm John Marcus.
And I'm Kirk Carapezza. Our show is created by John
And Kirk, and edited by Meg Wilhouse.
Gary Mott and David Goodman are our mix engineers.
All of our music is by college bands. Our theme music is Groundswell by Left Roman, a group out of MIT.
College Uncovered is made possible by Lumina Foundation.
We'd love to hear from you. Send us an email to gbhnewsconnect@wgbh.org and tell us what you want to know about how colleges really operate.
Thanks so much for listening.